Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Janelle and this is just going to be a video going over our infertility story up to this point. I took some notes because some of this has been a while since it occurred, so just try to keep me in the order of what happened when. So back in 2010 my husband and I got married. We did know that there could be some trouble conceiving because my husband had CML when he was in high school. The treatments from that cancer can be pretty devastating to reproductive systems. So every once in a while people will regain the ability to produce fruitful sperm or to carry a pregnancy, but it usually leaves you sterile. So we did know that going into marriage that it could be an issue. He was able to bank some sperm back before he had the total body irradiation and chemo. So that was our kind of thought from early on, is that there was a chance with that sperm in storage, but it wasn't anything guaranteed. So I was going to graduate school from 2010, and over the subsequent few years, that was kind of the focus. So we didn't really start trying to have a family until probably my last year of school, and at that point I started tracking my cycles and just making sure I was, documenting everything I could as far as my ovulation, and that we could time things to at least try. Of course, my husband had not regained the ability to produce viable sperm, so we decided in 2014 to start using some of the sperm that he had in storage and just do artificial insemination at home. So he had, I think, 11 vials of sperm frozen, but in order to make it a successful attempt, you needed to use 2 vials in order to even give it a chance. So we attempted a total of 4 times at home, and 2 of those times we mixed in donor sperm because we realized how quickly we were running out of his sperm, and those attempts were kind of a long shot. We knew that, but we were still hopeful that maybe we could just make it work without a lot of intervention and doctors and needle sticks and everything else that comes with fertility treatments. I think there might have been one point that I could have had a chemical pregnancy, but by and large it was just negative pregnancy tests, and never saw a positive pregnancy test. The possible chemical was just my body felt different than the other times. So everybody who's going in through infertility kind of knows that feeling of the waiting, the hoping, but the trying not to get your hopes up too much because you know how disappointing it can be to see another negative. So that was kind of how we spent 2014. Then the end of 2015, we decided it was time to go see a reproductive endocrinologist and take the next step. We were down to, I believe, 3 vials, and we didn't want to, run out of the chance to use that sperm wisely. So we went to an IVF and fertility specialist, in 2015, in that fall, October. They did all the basic labs at that point. Based on his sperm count and quality from the frozen vials, they recommended IVF right away. They didn't feel like there was enough, they didn't feel there were enough viable sperm remaining in the frozen samples to give us any success with just a IUI or something of that nature. So they strongly recommended IVF with ICSI as the best chance for us. Even with that being kind of the more aggressive route, they didn't give us any promises. They did not try and get our hopes up because sperm was still not, the best in motility and morphology, so it was an unknown what's going to happen. Through those tests, we learned a little bit more about my body. I had some of the ultrasounds and lab work that you usually get early on. Although my hormones looked pretty good, they did see I had a cyst on my left ovary, and doing the salines on histogram, they saw a possible polyp. So in February of 2016, I got a hysteroscopy to remove the polyp, and then in March, we kind of got our protocol down, and then April 1st is when I started actual injections for IVF. On the 12th of April, 2016, they did the egg retrieval, and we were so incredibly blessed. The amount we got from our first IVF, we had 34 eggs retrieved. 27 of those were mature, 26 of those fertilized. Ended up having 8 blastocysts frozen on day 5 and 1 more the next day. So we had a total of 9 embryos from that, which was amazing. Unfortunately, during that time, my body was drowned in so many hormones and had such high estrogen levels that the cyst on my left ovary, which was an endometrioma, grew, and it went from 3.2 centimeters before any of that started to 9 centimeters after. So tried everything natural that we could think of in order to get that to shrink back down, as far as acupuncture, changing my diet, just giving my body time to rest, because I was really hoping to go straight from the retrieval to a transfer. That wasn't doable based on the size of my endometrioma and my hormone levels. So, because of my doctor's advice, we waited a couple more cycles to see if my body could kind of shrink that back down to size. Unfortunately, it even grew bigger in the waiting time. So we scheduled a surgery for June 2016. In August, the end of August, we had our first FET scheduled, and I remember just being so incredibly ready. And we had been doing this intensive process of lots of visits, appointments, surgery, injections, another surgery, and the waiting was killing me. So just saying, November 2016, we had our last appointment with the fertility clinic, and an ultrasound was good, and it showed what it needed to show. And then I had my first appointment with a midwife outside of the fertility clinic a couple weeks later, and heard the heartbeat for the first time on Doppler at 9 weeks and 3 days. After that, I was lucky enough to have an uneventful pregnancy, a healthy pregnancy with all the kind of expected symptoms of morning sickness and heartburn and those types of things, but it was uneventful, which was amazing. I didn't have complications, and I carried that pregnancy till 4 days past the due date and went into labor. And I can do a birth story on that. It was not the birth that I planned by any means, but it was still blessed. My baby was born healthy, and I made it out healthy, so that was amazing and surreal after a lot of years of waiting for a baby. So 2017, we welcomed our first baby girl, and anybody who's gone through years of waiting for infertility knows just how surreal and amazing that is when you finally hold a baby that you never knew was going to be there for sure, and had a lot of fears and doubts that it would turn out that way. To all of those who are still in that waiting, my heart goes out to you. I know it's not easy. It's the hardest part. The unknown and the waiting of infertility is brutal, and just in any case, we proceeded to, so that was 2017, and then in 2018 we met with the fertility clinic again, and we discussed another transfer. So we went ahead and ended up doing that in October of 2018, and miraculously it was a successful transfer as well. So we welcomed our second daughter in 2019. So it's kind of unbelievable that we have two healthy girls. Never knew that would happen, and dared to think that would happen, but God blessed us greatly, and we are very, very thankful. There's not a day that goes by that we do not thank God for those girls, and just try and so they're absolute blessings and miracles, and we're very, very cognizant of how lucky we are and fortunate for having friends and family come alongside us for that initial IVF. We did not have the funds for that up front, and we were None of it was covered with insurance, but we had some very generous friends and family help us come up with money for the first IVF cycle. So if you are somebody who's currently waiting, going through IVF, infertility treatments and struggles, if you have endometriosis or male factor infertility that's overwhelming and you're feeling all of that uncertainty, I just want you to know sometimes it does go well. There are a lot of struggles and times it doesn't, and not everybody is fortunate through that process. But this is kind of our story, my testimony, just to let you know that sometimes the struggle and the waiting, they do turn out well, and you can be hopeful for that and what can come of a tough situation, a tough process, and kind of an unfair thing in life. Infertility is hard and it takes all of your focus. It's financially draining and physically draining, spiritually and emotionally, and it's rough on relationships. It's rough in a lot of ways. If I can be of any comfort or support to anybody going through it, just let me know. I know I felt, like I said in the previous video, a lot of value in videos from other people going through something similar. And I just appreciated that they took the time to be open and share their experience and what they were going through. Seeing that sometimes those struggles end up yielding what you're hoping for can be good. So if you have any questions about the details of our story or what you're going through, if you want to share, don't hesitate. I'm happy to talk to anybody about where you are in this, and send prayers your way as well. If there's somebody who would like prayer for their journey in the waiting or in any part of it, be really blessed and honored to do that too. So thanks for watching.